Welcome to another book review. I just finished reading Paul Tourniers' The Adventure of Living, published in 1965. And Paul Tourniers is a psychoanalyst from Switzerland who published many books and was very well known for his psychoanalyst work. You know, I related closely to his perspective and framework in this book with even how I started doing these book reviews, because I don't have professional lighting in here. I don't have a professional camera. This is my cell phone, and I'll mix in some of this old video camera footage every now and then. And even despite the fact that I don't have all the right equipment I would like, I just knew I had to get started doing it, even if it was amateurish. Despite beginning the adventure, as Paul Tourniers states, when adventure ceases is when normalcy begins. So my wife was actually the one who found this book at a local coffee shop / used bookstore in Davenport, Iowa called the Brewed Book. Really cool place if you live in the area that sells reasonably priced coffee and very reasonably priced used books as well. The thing that really spoke to my wife and I in The Adventure of Living is how Paul Tourniers paints adventure as more of a heart posture that one takes towards their calling in life, more so than any one particular action that one takes. For instance, he describes how religion can become either routine or one can undertake a religious adventure. You have in them both the element of religion, but the difference in heart posture can make it a mechanical thing versus a living thing. He describes how one can have a nominal Christianity, being Christian in name only, or one can go on a Christian lifestyle, a Christian adventure in which you are actually walking out your faith through deed as much as you are in word. You know, these videos, for example, I could make out of a duty to fulfill some abstractly inspired goals, or it can be an answer to what I believe is a call from God to fulfill a purpose of putting my voice out into the world. Even though I have a lot of fears of failing, you know, not saying the correct thing or exactly how I want it to sound, or saying exactly what I mean and it being taken the wrong way or causing offense to people, if I allow myself to succumb to focusing on the failure, well, two things can happen. I can either, one, not do anything and bring upon a worse failure of having never tried, or I can focus on trying not to fail, and through paradox of focusing on trying not to fail, running into that exact failure that I'm trying to avoid. For instance, you know, if there's this car in front of me and I really don't want to run into them, but if I just zoom ahead, it's okay though, because failure can be a success as well. It all depends on where your aim is and what's motivating that aim. Look at these guys. These geese are enjoying some time in the river. They don't mind that it's icy. It's actually maybe even warmer in there than it is out here. Paradox can work the other way too, because success can also be a failure in one's life if that success is motivated or aimed in the wrong direction. Even if I fail, it's still a success because I answered the call to the adventure. Quick time out to show how beautiful it is out here. This is kind of on the border in between Bettendorf, Iowa and Davenport. Tourniers suggests that all adventures have to have that component within them of an individual's conviction to believe in something greater than they are because of the risks inherent in them. Political ideologies, for instance, will give individuals that think greater than themselves to take on the risks of death or imprisonment. All adventures have to go through a death and rebirth process. Art movements, for example. Once a certain style has become uniform and adopted by the institutions and is what the students are taught by the masters to imitate, the true adventurers, the true artist will have to tread new ground, and to tread new ground you have to become an amateur in approach. Tournier defines an amateur as one who chooses his activity according to his taste, who commits himself totally to it and pursues it because he likes it and not from a sense of duty, even if he makes it his daily work. And something that he doesn't say here, but I think is necessary to add, is what the amateur, the pilgrim, the adventurer, what they're seeking to find isn't something necessarily new, but the original. Because God, when He created the earth, He created everything there was. There is nothing new under the sun, as the book of Ecclesiastes very poetically states. What we are trying to do as trailblazers in this world is to rediscover what was the original intention of God to begin with. For one to go on a truly meaningful adventure, love has to be the motivating factor and the aim. And it will also be the thing that sustains through all the failures. There's no greater adventure anyone can commit to than to find out what the meaning of the world is. And there is no answer that's not absurd found outside of the Bible, as the answer is a secret that only belongs to the author of all things. And that isn't to say an adventure of life is in religion, but in all vocations. God wants to walk with you on the journey, for it is after all His will, not ours. At the end of the book, Tournier best describes that cycle of the adventure, that birth and death process and rebirth. In this quote that he's quoting somebody else who's unnamed, saying, "The cycle of an adventure begins in birth, continues in knowledge, and ends in gratitude. And when this life is over, there'll be another adventure to live."